everyone, Tammy Klinger, also known as Artsy Tambarambaa, here with you again, sharing my latest Art by Marlene art journal page. Thank you so much for popping into my channel today. For this one, I've used a few products from the new Mixed Up collection, and I always add a few bits and pieces from other collections in there as well. So I'm using a page from the Perfect Size journal, and I've also grabbed a sheet of all-round paper of Marlene's to do my stamping on. And I'm using the new Mixed Up collection stamp called Bloomin' Good. I go back to this stamp set all the time because I just love the flowers. I always love Marlene's flowers. And also she's got some awesome leaves in this one. So as you can see, some of them I'd stamped before and some I hadn't. So I had to press a little bit harder for the ones that I hadn't. Then I've grabbed out, this is actually one of the little booklets that was in last year's advent calendar. Cannot wait to start opening this year's, but this is from last year's, and it's the little black and white book. So I decided, I knew that I wanted to colour my leaves, colour my flowers and some of the leaves, but I thought it would be nice to have some pops of black and white in this page as well. So that's why I stamped some of the leaves onto the black and white pattern paper, because I just wanted to have that contrast. So now I've grabbed out some of Marlene's watercolours. So I've got the Brighter Than Bright, which is the one on the left hand side, and that is her neon watercolours, and they are my favourites. And then I've also got her Bold and Bright watercolour set on the right as well. Okay, so you can see where I've stamped my flowers. I'm not painting the watercolour inside the lines because I know I'm going to cut them out. So there's no need to do that. So I pretty much just throw a stack of colour on, use a couple of different shades, just not thinking about it too much, just to get some colour down. Then I've popped them to the side, ready to cut out. So time to prepare the background. So again, using the watercolours, I sprayed a little bit of water onto my watercolours, but I also sprayed some water onto the background so that the paint moves a little when I pop it down. So I'm kind of going with blues and greens, creating a bit of aqua as well. And I'm just concentrating on the left-hand upper part of the page and letting it drip down. And then, of course, I've got to add some splats as well. I really love the grungy look, and I knew that I wanted to add lots of colour with my flowers, so I wanted something a little bit arty and grungy for them to sit upon. So I've dried all that off, and then I've come in before cutting out. It's just easier to colour in before cutting out, using my Inktense pencils, and I'm just creating some shading and a bit of, leaf variation, like a bit of colour in the leaves. I can't speak, sorry. And I'm just using my pencils and adding a bit more water to get that vibrant colour. I will also do the same to the flowers. I just kind of follow what Marlene has already done, just to add a little bit of sort of shadowing here and there. So I have fast forward some of this so you don't have to watch all of it. And then it's simply drying it off. I think when I use my heat gun, my phone that I'm recording on focuses in between. So sorry about the jumping there. So now I've cut out all of those beautiful roses and leaves, and also cutting out the black and white one. And they look gorgeous once they're all cut out. Lovely and vibrant, which is what I want. So now I'm just playing around, kind of auditioning them, working out perhaps where I want them on my page. See how those black and white ones look? I just love how they look. So now I've grabbed a sheet of paper from the Mixed Up scrap paper collection, and there's one with, it's actually the one with the girl on it that I think Marlene and a few of the girls have been using lately, but I really love all the flowers as well in the background. So I'm cutting out some of those. Now, I felt that I didn't have enough flowers, so at this point I decided to add a couple more flowers into my creation. Just, I just wanted it to be full and like big blooms, and I just hadn't quite done enough. So both of these are also from that same Bloomin' Good stamp set. I always heat set them, and then I just do the same. I come in with my watercolour. Don't worry about the lines, just whack that colour down, put a bit of deeper colour into the centre coming out. And I decide not to colour my the larger ones. I'm going to leave those black and white for some more pops of black and white on the page. So just continuing to add some shadowing and some depth, and then I will cut them out. Okay, so back to drying them out on the page. I cut one of the big black and white ones in half, and I'm really just shuffling, trying to work out exactly what I'm going to do. And I think in a moment I decide to add in the other black and white flower as well. But I don't cut the all of him out with the scalloped edge. I actually just cut the centre flower out. So that's what I mean with these stamp sets. There's just so many options and different flowers that you can create. So I'm kind of happy where that's all going to go, and I decide I need more background, and I want to sort of layer up that background with colour, so that's where you get that rich layers and layers of colour, and it's always so interesting. So what I did is pop down a bit more paint, and then I'm using a stencil by the Crafters Workshop that Marlene designed. I think it's called Bloomin Garden, and I sort of tried to paint the leaves with the watercolour. Kind of worked, but I like that it's added some definition to the background. Then I've grabbed out the text stamp that comes from the Bold Butterflies, which was in the Bold and Bright collection. And what I did is I painted some watercolours onto the reverse of the stamp, and then just used that to stamp around. So it gives the script is not readable, it just gives that pattern into the background. So I really love the way that looks. I did also come in with a little bit of black archival ink and add a few stamps with the same stamp as well. But I particularly love how that watercolour stamping looks. So now I've come in with a stamp from, I think it's from the Love, the Love stamp set that's part of the Essentials range, and it's like a scribbly sort of circle, so it actually looks like scribbly blooms. So I've stamped that underneath parts of where I know my flowers are going to go and my leaves are going to go, so it just adds more texture, more layers and more definition. Now I knew this would happen because I knew when I stamp 2 flowers, I don't work with 2s. I generally work with 3s or 5s. So I've actually quickly added another rose, and I've placed him so that he's coming off of the page. Now I'm getting there. I'm thinking, okay, this is looking better. I'm happier with this. I love all that watercolour, the purples and the blues and the aquas in the background. So also from the same paper sheet that I was cutting out before, I've cut out a few more because I like the way they sort of hang down, those blooms. And then I reckon I'd grab another sheet of paper and cut out some beautiful blue shapes as well. Anyway, I'm still fiddling, poking, working out where things are going to go. Yep, here's the other sheet of paper. So I'm cutting out some of those blue, they're sort of like blooms, or not exactly sure, but I love the colour and that suits the page perfectly. So I'm cutting those out and letting them also hang down with those other flowers. Then I decide to add my quote. So that hope is actually from also from the last year's advent calendar. It's a chipboard piece that was in there. And then I've added a quote of Marlene's that says, "Don't hide in the shadows, turn your face towards the sun." And I just thought that suited this page perfectly. So now I'm just sticking things down. I'm using the sticky glue, and I'm kind of just sticking the centre so that they still lift up a little bit. I want some sort of dimension and texture to my page, so I don't stick them completely flat like I often do. Especially those ones that are hanging down, they look nice if they're just sitting up a little bit. So I'm continuing to poke them underneath. And I guess if you don't stick them completely flat all at once, it means you've got, you know, little bits on the side you can lift just to poke things underneath. Couple more of those blue blossomy things. I think that really sets it off, and it kind of brings that background and foreground together and makes it just work. So then I'm just using a black pen to go around some of those because the blue is almost identical to what's in the background, so they can get a little bit lost. So I'm just scribbling around some of the edges, and it just helps them to stand out against the background and pop off the page. I'm also coming in with a bit of watercolour onto some of those the flowers I cut from the scrap paper. So I'm coming in and just adding a bit of extra colour just to give a bit more bold and bright. And then I'm poking some darker, really dark purple. I made this colour by mixing the purple and the blue, but I'm putting that into sort of right behind all the flowers just to give that real shadowing look. And you'll see how that's really helped it to pop and give depth and dimension. So this is that same stamp that I had a little play with before. That's from the Love collection, and it's got sort of scribbly edges, and yeah, I really liked how that looked like sort of blossoms hanging off the page, so I came in and added lots more of that. Now I'm just touching up a few of the stamps with a white gel pen, so just to give, you know, some highlights here and there. And then I'm coming in with lace paint, which is the white, and just adding a few dots to the centres of some of the flowers, and again deepening up that background. That's that text stamp again. I think I'd covered a lot of it up, so I just wanted to bring a bit more back in. And pretty much, oh, here we go. So then I'm just quickly using black ink to add a border, so that just frames the page, and that's it. So yeah, really happy with this one. It was lots of fun to create. I kind of had in mind what I wanted to do, but those flowers kind of took on a life of their own. So I'll popping it in my album, and I'll leave you with some close-ups. But yeah, the colours are beautiful. Marlene's paper and stamps are just wonderful to work with. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'd love you to leave a comment. I always love reading your comments, knowing who stopped in and watched my videos, because I always wonder who watches them. Some people tag me and I know that they've created, but I'd love to hear from you. Bye.